Welcome to the HBP group video for the Advanced Business Tax Portal Base Edition. The first thing that you'll notice when you order the Base Edition from us is that you'll be sent an email with the link for the Business Tax Portal to register it. As my demo system is already registered, unfortunately I can't get back into these screens, but pages 5 through to 7 of the HBP manual will guide you through this process. It's important to note that you will be unable to authenticate or submit using the portal until you've signed up for Making Tax Digital with Hmrc. This process can normally take up to about 72 hours to complete. Once you've registered with Hmrc, they will be expecting your very next submission digitally, so it's important that this is done after your last normal submission, but before your first digital submission. We would advise being prepared to submit your first digital submission earlier than you normally would in case you run into any teething issues. Once you've registered following the steps in the manual, it will guide you to set up a tax registration record. This is also covered in the manual. I'm already registered with my demo system, but I can navigate to tax registrations over on the left-hand pane just to show you what it looks like. So if we just edit the one I've got set up here. The tax registration number needs to be the same as the registration number you registered with Hmrc, and it also needs to be exactly the same as this VAT reg that you have set in Exchequer here. In order to get to that screen, you'd go to Utilities, System Setup and General Settings. The available gateway will just be Hmrc Gateway that you'd select from the drop-down list. The registered name will be the same as the name you registered with the Hmrc and needs to match exactly to the company name that's set in this screen here in Exchequer. And it's important to note that that is case and character sensitive. The address should just be the same as the registered address you registered with Hmrc, and then you can enter any accounting schemes that you might be using into this box here, but that's just for reference only. You then need to go on down here to add your Exchequer company. And I'm just going to edit the one I've already got here. This name here is purely for reference and it can be anything that you refer to that company as. But the source reference is important in terms of linking the two together. And this will depend upon what version of Exchequer you're running. You can check the version of Exchequer that you're running by going to Help and About, and it will tell you at the top of the screen here. Now I'm running version 12, version 12.01 has been released within the last couple of days just before recording this video. But if you're on version 12.0 or less, what you enter into here just needs to match exactly to what you've got entered into here, and again that's case and character sensitive. If you're running version 12.01 or higher, what you enter into here will be the company code from your multi-company manager screen in Exchequer. Now, if you've got more than one company on your Exchequer system that share the same tax reference, you'll probably want to group those returns together, and we'll go through that later in this video. If that is the case, you need to add any second and subsequent companies into here just by selecting the Add Company until you've got them all added. Once you've done all of that, that's now complete in terms of setup, and you'll be able to use the tax portal to upload and submit returns in CSV format, and that's covered later in this video and in the manual as well. However, there is one extra step in setup if you wish to link Exchequer directly to the business tax portal, and that will allow you to send your VAT return directly from Exchequer to the business tax portal without having to export it to CSV first. It's important to note that you don't have to do this level of setup and you can still use the business tax portal to submit returns. You just need to do it via a CSV file, which we'll cover shortly. So to link Exchequer directly, you'll need to be running at least version 12 of Exchequer. And you'd go into Utilities and VAT Setup, which is a screen you're probably used to seeing. However, you're probably not used to seeing this additional information here. The information that you need to enter into these screens is generated from the business tax portal in the FMS connections on the left hand side, which is here. And FMS incidentally just stands for Financial Management System. It's important to know if you've got those multiple companies sharing the same tax reference, you still only need one FMS connection. Now I'm just going to edit mine, but when you add it, the information you see here will be pre-populated from the registration you did when you first received the link for the portal. So you just need to copy this information using the copy buttons here into the relevant sections in Exchequer. The application URL needs to be copied into the tax portal URL here. The company account needs to be copied into the organisation ID box. The authentication ID here needs to be copied into the client ID box. And the authentication secret, once you've selected this regenerate secret button, just needs to be copied into the client secret box here. Now if you select test connection, that should go away and connect to the Advanced Business Tax Portal. If it doesn't, it could be to do with these proxy settings here. So you leaving this as default should work. If it doesn't, I'd suggest disabling all proxy settings and trying it again. If not, you might need to use custom settings, and that's where you'd probably need to chat to your internal IT team, because they might need to bypass this web page within your internal systems depending upon your security. Just another note on the additional companies, as previously mentioned, if you have got more than one Exchequer company that shares that same tax reference, you want to group those returns together. Again, just to reiterate, you still only need that one FMS connection setting up. That FMS connection would be the one from your main Exchequer company that you link to submit your returns. Any subsequent companies in Exchequer will need the exact same information entering into their utilities VAT setup screens. So that's it for setup, covered in this video, covered in a little bit more depth in the manual, just because there's some screen prints of that registration screen that I can't get through to for you, unfortunately. But also you may have had consultancy time where we've helped you set that up for you. Now actually getting into the nitty-gritty of using the business tax portal. So the first thing, if I navigate to users on the left hand side, you will already have a user account set up, which is the one that you registered with. If you want to add new users, just select this option here. The email address will be the email that they use to log in. The password needs to be set specifically, and it needs to have a minimum of 8 characters and contain at least one number and one special character. First and last name is self-explanatory, and the role, standard or administrator. There's 2 access levels. Standard users can carry out and view imports, but they can't submit the VAT return. Admin can do absolutely everything, including physically submitting the VAT return. And then you've got a toggle just to say whether the user's active or not. If a user forgets their password, they'll have a link when they first log into the business tax portal just to click on, follow the prompts, and it will send them a link to their email to reset the password. I'm now going to move on to imports. So this is actually how to import your VAT return into the portal ready submission. It can be imported in 2 ways, either through a CSV format import or directly from Exchequer if we're on version 12 and we've set up the link. To import a CSV file, you'd navigate to this import menu here on the left hand pane. And it's important to note that importing the CSV file is only the first stage in your submission. You'd actually still need to submit the return, which we'll cover shortly. The first thing you'll see here is an import summary, and you'll have the date of the last FMS import, which is the date that a file has last been imported from Exchequer, and you'll have a date and time of the last CSV import as well, so the last import that's come from a CSV file. You've got the number of outstanding import errors, which is any imports that have errors that need attention, which we'll cover shortly. And you've got the last import ID, which is just a sequentially generated number, and it counts both failed and successful imports. The import library down here gives you a breakdown of those imports, and we can see the import ID, the tax reference and the date and time, the type, whether it's come from CSV or Exchequer, and the status, so whether it's completed or whether it's something that has errors. If it does have errors, you can click on this option here to view the error. And this one, for example, has an error that it cannot identify the tax registration. So what this most likely means is the tax reference that you had on your CSV file import didn't match the tax reference that's set up in your business tax portal or in Exchequer. In order to import a CSV file, you can download a sample template CSV file here, and that will give you the format required to import for your CSV upload. So if I just select to download that, just call it sample. I've already downloaded one, so it's just going to overwrite the one I've already got there. Just navigate to my desktop and open that up. So you'll see here, it's only really very simple information that it wants for you from the import. So the VAT number and the company name, which as we know must both match what you've got set in Exchequer and what you've got registered with your portal. You've got a period start and period end date, and then all of the information for your 9 boxes on the VAT return. It might be clearer to view a completed CSV import, and I've got one here. You can see here, look, that's just the header line. I've actually got my VAT number, my company name, my VAT period start and end dates, and then the figures for my 9 boxes. So if I just go back to the portal, in order to actually upload a CSV file, you can either drag it into this box here or click to browse for it. So if I click and upload this, at this point it's important to note the name of the CSV file doesn't really matter for you. You can call that anything you want. You might just want to call it like the date and the time of the import or the month that you're going to be importing for. Okay, just another note on CSV files while I'm here. You can see that I open the file in Notepad. Now, whilst you can open and view a CSV file in Excel, it's recommended that you edit your CSV imports in Notepad. And the reason for that, which many of you may know, is that certain fields, specifically dates, can format incorrectly when you open them in Excel. And if that was the case, you would find that you'd have an import error that probably said something about the formatting of the date, something like that, that you'd have to obviously go and correct. Now, if you've got multiple companies that you wish to group into one return, the data into each of those companies should be imported into the portal separately, and the portal will consolidate those figures separately for your submission. So I'm just going to select this import file here. So we can see it's selected it, and I'm just going to do run import. And I can see in green here I've got success, and it's imported that successfully. And I can see I've got a new one here with a new import ID, and it's telling me it's successfully imported that CSV file. If I go to the home page, I can see that I've got a tax return that's ready to submit. So this is where, if you only had the one company and it was only expecting that one lot of figures, it would come through here as ready to submit. If you've got 2 or more companies to consolidate, this will just say something like awaiting imports until all companies have been grouped and it's ready to be imported for you. So we've gone through how to import from a CSV file. Now we'll look at how to import directly from Exchequer version 12 if you've set up the link between the two. When you run your VAT return report within Exchequer, which you'll be used to doing just from reports and VAT reports, and we'll say that we're going to close the period. Just a note here, like I would always suggest to anybody, you would only come in here and tick the box to close the period once you've ran your report to screen or to printer and you're happy with all of the figures. You'll see you've got this new box here, which is submit digitally to Hmrc using Advanced Business Tax Portal. And the reason we're getting this is because we've set up that link. Okay, you'd run through the process as normal. I'm just going to print that to screen. And this is all just normal VAT processing screens. But now you'll see you get this new screen here with your 9-box summary. Now here, you can either go and export that to CSV anyway, which will create a CSV in the required format for you to upload to the business tax portal, or you can click Submit to Tax Portal and it will directly go away and link to the Tax Portal. This is telling me the VAT return was successfully submitted to the Advanced Business Tax Portal. If I go back and just have a look at my imports, I can see that the last FMS import is today at 4:20. Unfortunately, with demo data, I can't go as far as clicking ready to submit on this button because unfortunately then there's no way of me going back. But when you come to import, once you select that box, you'll be asked for a declaration just to agree to the normal Hmrc declaration. Once you've done that, this screen will read Submission in Progress and it'll change to say Submitted once you complete it, and you'll have the option to view a summary of the submission or export to Csv File if you wish. That pretty much covers everything relating to the setup and usage of the Advanced Business Tax Portal. Now, I'm aware there's some screens unfortunately I have not been able to show you as part of this video. There will be screen prints of those screens within the manual from us, so if you've not had that manual from HBP support, please do just give us a call and we can get that through to you. I just want to end with a little note on soft landing. So what this is Hmrc will allow a 12-month period for businesses to have in place digital links between all of the software. What that means is that within those 12 months, you can still use copy and paste between systems. So for example, you could still run your Exchequer VAT return to Screen or to Excel and copy or rekey that 9-box data into that CSV template that you've downloaded if you so wish to. After that soft landing period has expired, you'd need to submit either with the direct link from Exchequer that we've seen today, or by running the VAT report to Excel, which I understand a lot of you probably still will need to if you're charities and you need to make amendments to your figures. That's fine. But what you need to do is note that after those first 12 months, you won't be able to copy that information from Excel into your CSV template. You would have to digitally link your 9-box data to that CSV template using Excel lookups. So that's just a little note around that soft landing. So hopefully that covers everything off for you today with the Business Tax Portal Base Edition. Thank you for listening, and please do contact us on HBP support if there's any queries that you have. Thank you.